Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay,
What about you?
I'm fine. I'm just kind of people were introducing themselves, talking a little bit about their interest in political science. Are you planning to be a political science major?
Yeah, I'm currently a political science major.
Okay. Are you taking American Politics 1 now?
I sure am.
Okay. Okay. So the three of you who are in American Politics 1, you've of course met Dr. Broughton. He's my colleague in political science. He usually teaches American Politics 1. He teaches those sections. So Dr. Broughton teaches mainly international relations and comparative politics, and then he does the intro course in American. He also does a course on elections, and then I do the American policy courses, and I do all of our theory courses, political philosophy, American political thought. I could talk a little bit about kind of the major careers that students have. I guess I'll do that a little bit, and then, but I don't want to talk too much. I want to sort of focus more on what you might be interested in hearing about. Since all of you kind of you're pretty sure you are majoring in political science, I assume you kind of have a knowledge of the discipline of the main fields, right? So within political science, the four main fields are American politics, comparative politics, international relations, and political theory. We teach, courses in all of those areas here at TLU. And in terms of kind of what do people do with political science majors? Well, they do all kinds of things. Several of you have mentioned that you're interested in law. And so that is certainly something many of our graduates do, pursue careers in law as attorneys, going on to law school. We do have a pre-law concentration, which includes some courses that are especially helpful to preparing for the LSAT and for law school. We also have a concentration in policy and public administration. That actually has been an area that a lot of our graduates more recently have gone into. Students can go on to get a master's in public administration and then work oftentimes in city government or county government. These are sort of public service positions that serve the public, but that you don't have to run for office. It's not about campaigning. And so some students really kind of prefer that side, I guess, of politics. And there are certainly a lot of jobs in those areas. We have several former students now who are working as assistant city managers, kind of moving their way up in city governments. We do have some alumni who work as campaign managers. They work on campaigns. Many of them went on to get a master's degree in some kind of field, like sometimes in management or in public rhetoric, those kinds of fields, or in marketing, marketing that includes campaign management. One of our graduates just this past year is in a master's program in campaign management at UT. She just started this year. We certainly have a lot of graduates who go into fields not directly related to politics, because political science is kind of teaches you a lot of skills, it makes you able to do, I guess, a wide range of things, particularly if they involve management or administration. So a lot of our students go on in fields they've gone on to, be part of. They've gotten training to become executives, or they've kind of the executive training programs for a number of industries, in retail, in restaurants, in entertainment industries. So it's pretty broad in terms of what students do with the majors, some of them more directly related in politics, some of them go into business or other kinds of areas. One of the kind of special things about our program is that we are one of only a few institutions in Texas that takes part in the Washington semester program at American University. So if this is something you could take part in. Generally, students go in their junior year or could be first semester, senior year, but you go for one semester, and it's a sort of a special program. It's on the campus. The courses are on the campus at American University in Washington, D.C., but it's the students who are there would be like you. They'd be from other universities in the U.S. and from even other countries, and they're there just to study in Washington, to learn about politics or some other field. It could be economics or journalism, but kind of in the context of American politics. And students who take part in that program, they do 2 seminars and get credit for those courses. They also do an internship, and students can intern with members of Congress, with the White House, with the FBI, with law firms. I mean, runs a whole gamut. And then also they do a research project. So that's something I would certainly recommend for all of you to kind of think about and try to plan for. So I've been talking a lot. Let me stop now and just kind of take questions that you might have. And don't forget, you're all muted, so you need to unmute yourself. Nobody has a question?
I guess I'll ask a question.
Okay.
So like, I guess later into our degrees, I know you said some of us are looking into law school. Are there like sessions available on campus or other like resources that would be able to get us like LSAT prep or like tutoring for those tests?
Mm-hmm. Well, that we don't offer kind of tutoring, directly on campus, but I am, and I should mention, I'm the pre-law advisor. I can certainly recommend the most successful programs that the students have used over the years to help them prepare for the test. What I usually recommend students do is buy one of the books that's published either by Kaplan or by the Princeton Review. Those are really the 2 most reputable companies. There are a lot of companies out there that try to sell services for law school, and I don't always trust them. But those 2 companies, Kaplan, Princeton Review, they have a good track record. So what I usually recommend is students buy one of those big books, kind of like maybe what you did for when you prepped for the SAT, if you did that, and just you kind of look through it, you kind of get a sense of what the questions are like, and then do a test on your own and see how you do. Kind of prepare yourself. And what you'll find is you might do fine, you might be doing very well, and conclude that you can kind of train on your own. You can train using these resources without paying, for a tutor. Or you might find that there's maybe certain areas that you really need to work on, and you think you can't do it on your own, or you think you would do much better if you got help. Then you could purchase a session either with a Princeton Review tutor or a Kaplan tutor. Those are sometimes in classes, I know a lot of it now is online and one-on-one. They're not cheap. They're not cheap. They're expensive. So you'd have to be really serious. You have to get to a point. Okay, am I really sure I want to go to law school? I want to make this investment. I want to get into the best law school I can. And so I'm going to, kind of make an investment in my future that way. But I wouldn't say that's not a decision you want to make in your freshman year or even in your sophomore year. At this point, you should be just focusing on doing, building your skills as much as you can. Building your, oh, I see another question. Let me finish what I'm saying here first. Developing your analytical skills, your writing skills, all of that, it will be very important on the LSAT and in law school. And then when you sort of, oftentimes might have you do an internship, intern maybe with the district attorney's office or with a judge, with a law firm, get some more practical experience of what law is actually like. And then at that point, is maybe as you're kind of approaching your junior year, that's when you'd start, I think, to think about prepping for the LSAT. Okay. So there was a question on the chat. Does TLU honor society clubs we can join? We don't have any particular honor society or club in political science. Some of our students have taken part in, more broad honor society. We have students who are in the honors program at TLU or in other kinds of honor societies, but we don't have a specific one for the major. Any minors that complement a political science major? Yes. There are, there's lots, certainly you could minor in anything, but oftentimes our students, I know many of you are interested in law, so a kind of a common minor that accompanies political science is a criminal justice minor, especially if you're interested in if you're interested in practicing in law as a district attorney or as a defense attorney, if that's the kind of law you're interested in, then that might be a good minor to pursue. Oftentimes our students minor in geography. That's an extremely helpful minor as well. A lot of the skills in geography are closely related to political science. We offer in our geography program, we offer 2 courses in GIS. It's Global Information Systems. It's a computer program that enables the user to create maps that take into account data. It could be data about anything, but for political science majors, it could be like data about, say, about redistricting or reapportioning, or voting tallies. So it could be used by campaign managers. It could be used by staffers for members of the legislature who are redrawing districts after the census data comes out. So that's a good one too. Some of our students minor in psychology. It's a closely related field. We do require our students to take one particular psychology course, which is the data analysis course. That's the prerequisite for our more advanced data analysis course in political science. Economics is also a really good minor to have. Especially people who are interested in policy, if you're interested kind of more in the policy area of for politics, rather than law is related to policy, but if you're actually thinking maybe you want to work for, you want to run for office yourself, or you want to work as a staffer who's helping a member of the legislature at the state level or in Congress, proposing legislation, you might want to have a good background in economics in order to do that. So those are some of the most common minors that go along with political science. Any other questions? Would a study abroad program Oh, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. Um, I would really strongly recommend, if possible, to do the Washington semester, um, or study abroad, or even both. I mean, that might be a bit ambitious, but we have had students do that. Students spend one semester in Washington on that program, and then a semester abroad. Um, I think that there's really no, especially if you're interested in international politics or comparative politics. We've had students over the years who wanted to go into those fields, international relations, international law, or who wanted to maybe work for NGOs, that provide services, maybe like food services, or helping people in poverty come up with like micro loan programs. So some kind of they want to work maybe for a non-governmental organization that provides some kind of social assistance to people particularly in countries that lack resources. And really the best way to get to understand other parts of the world is to, of course, to leave the US, to spend at least some part of your college career in another country, in another culture. So if there's somebody who spoke in your FREX course, that's great. There are a lot of opportunities for study abroad. I studied abroad as an undergraduate. I studied for a year in Austria, and actually I taught about 4 years ago. I taught at Harlexton College in England, which was a great experience. So yes, I'd recommend that. And if you're interested, sort of now is the time to be thinking about it, to be planning, kind of what order to take courses in, maybe certain things to save until you're, especially if they're part of the gen ed curriculum, maybe you take those when you're studying abroad. So if you want to talk to me certainly about that, I'd be happy to do that and kind of help you plan for that. Thinking of double majoring in political science and philosophy. These complement each other. Oh yes, absolutely. Particularly if, well, so I'll say two things about that. First of all, the area of political science that's political theory or political philosophy. So I talked about kind of the four main areas of political science. One of those is political theory. That's very closely related to philosophy. In fact, a lot of the coursework, there's a lot of overlap between the two. My own background is in political philosophy. My degree in political science, my first field is in political philosophy. A number of the courses that I took as a graduate student were in philosophy. So the fields themselves are very closely related. If that's something you're interested in, it makes sense. There are also a lot of practical benefits to it as well. This is kind of a separate argument about it, but the study of philosophy, we know has a lot of very practical benefits. One of them is for preparation for taking the LSAT. Okay, so if you look at the data in terms of what students major in, and then how students do on the LSAT is the exam that you have to take when you're applying for law school. And if you look at all the different majors students have who take the LSAT, the major that tends to get the highest scores on the LSAT are philosophy majors. So philosophy tends to provide the kind of training that is extremely helpful in what's tested on the LSAT and what's considered as sort of appropriate to the practice of law. So even if you don't minor in it or you don't double major, I certainly would recommend taking philosophy. It can be very helpful, especially if you're interested in law. There's one course in particular in philosophy that we require on the pre-law track. It's a course in logic. So there's a whole section of the LSAT exam that is on, it's called analytical reasoning. And the kind of the elements or the skills of analytical reasoning are much of what you learn in the logic course is directly related to the skills of the analytic reasoning. So that class in particular is one that's very helpful. If I answered everybody's questions sufficiently, if you want to follow up on anything or ask anything else. Okay. No one has asked what to take next semester. I know it's almost time to switch out, but let me just say that we have a somewhat unusual situation in our department just for this coming spring, because Dr. Broughton, who many of you know and have for American Politics 1 now, Dr. Broughton is on sabbatical. He's going to be he's not going to be teaching next semester, so he's going to be doing some research. He'll be back in the fall, and so by next fall, we'll be back to kind of our regular course cycle. But while he's gone, we're offering less than we normally do. So I'm going to be teaching American Politics 1 for any of you who have not had that course yet. I'm also going to be teaching American Political Thought, which is an upper division class in theory. Those would be the classes. One of those, if you haven't had it before, would be a good one to take. Otherwise, I would recommend some courses in supporting work. So for example, we require 6 hours of economics. If you haven't had economics yet, it might be a good time to begin like taking principles of economics, or to take a geography course, or maybe a criminal justice course. So something that's part of the supporting coursework. If you're looking for something else to take in the spring. Okay, I know kind of now is the time to switch out. So those of you who tuned in, bye-bye. And for those of you who are just popping in now, hello, I'm Dr. Walsh. I'll just kind of give everybody a minute to group some people to leave, some people to come in. Oh, there was a question about con law, Jonathan. Oh. I'm just going to wait just another minute here until see if some other people could pop in. Okay, so hello, Ezra and Blake. Now you're both muted. So maybe I could just ask you, if you wouldn't mind, before I start talking, maybe you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and, you know, your interest in political science. Ezra, do you want to start?
I'm an applied physics major, but they said I had to do another one, so I came to this room.
Okay. So do you have interest in political science or?
Not really.
Not really?
To be honest with you.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Blake?
I'm a business major, and political science actually sounds a little interesting to me. Not gonna lie.
Okay. All right. Well, let me just kind of give you a brief overview of the discipline and of the kind of careers that people have who study political science. So the discipline of political science includes 4 subfields. So we have American politics, we have international relations, comparative politics, and political theory or political philosophy. And so we have two full-time faculty members at TLU, myself and Dr. Broughton, who teach political science. Dr. Broughton teaches his main area of research is in comparative politics. He teaches the comparative, the international relations, and the Intro to American Politics course, usually. And my background is in political philosophy, so I teach all the theory, philosophy courses, including American political thought and constitutional law. And I also do the policy courses. My secondary field in American politics. So students who major in political science go on to do all sorts of things. Probably the most common interest students have, at least when they start in political science, is law. I think they want to go to law school and become attorneys. Certainly a lot of our students do that. We also have a lot of students who, especially in recent years, who when they finish, go into public administration. So this is kind of like, this is an aspect of public service that is, doesn't involve running for office and campaigning and all of that part of it. So some people kind of prefer that, to not have that side of things, but we have a lot of students who've gone on to get a master's degree in public administration and then end up working for maybe for city governments or county governments, and administering, a city manager would administer all the departments, the police, the fire, the water, public works, all of that within the city. So that's been, and there are a lot of jobs in that area too. So that's been something in more recent years, a track that more of our students have been going on. We certainly have students who go on in policy areas or in campaign management. Sometimes they go right into, or after they've been working for a while, they do master's programs either in public policy, in some policy area, or in campaign management, depending upon kind of which of those they want to do. If they want to, maybe if they want to work for a member of the state legislature or the national legislature or an executive branch on some policy area, then they'll focus on policy degree. But if they want to run campaigns, work on campaigns, become campaign managers, then they go more in that direction. We have just as an example, one of our students who graduated just last fall. She is now, just this semester, she's in a master's program in campaign management at UT. Then certainly a lot of students who major in political science go into fields that are not directly related to politics, because the kind of skills that you get in political science major don't necessarily have to, it isn't a career track. So kind of do a variety of things. And so a lot of our majors, this might be something maybe along the lines of your interest, Blake, since you're a business major. A lot of our students go on to careers in business, particularly in management aspects of business. We have students who've been picked up by training programs, executive training programs for major retailers, restaurants, entertainment industry. So it really kind of runs the gamut. We also, one last thing I should probably mention that's kind of distinguishes our program. We're part of, at TLU, we're part of a small number of universities in Texas that are affiliated with the Washington semester program. This is a 1 semester program for students to go to Washington, DC, to take courses with other students in the same situation. So students coming from all across the US just for that one semester to study American politics or aspects of politics in the nation's capital. There's also a lot of foreign students who attend. So the program takes place at American University, but it's just for the students who are there for the semester. And the students, they do seminars. They do half of their coursework is on seminars related to their interests, which could be American politics, foreign policy, economics. There are a number of business majors who have, especially interested in international business, who've gone on a track, kind of international business track that's offered. So they do that. They do an internship that could be for a member of Congress, could be for the White House, the FBI, a law firm, some kind of an interest group or NGO. So do an internship, and they also do a research project. And it's just a wonderful experience for students to have. And of course, great career building, or great on the resume. So I've been talking a lot. Is there any questions you have, or anything you'd like me to address that I haven't yet?
Nope.
Is that a question, Blake? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I just said no.
No? Okay. All right. Oops. I lost my screen here. Just a second. Okay. Well, is there anything in terms of this project that you have to complete for FREX that I didn't talk about that I need to for you to complete it? Oh, isn't there a question about, you're supposed to ask about what to take next semester? I can talk about that just for a minute. So we do have a bit of an unusual situation in our department, because my colleague, Dr. Broughton, is on sabbatical this coming spring, which means he's not going to be teaching. He's going to be doing a research project. And so we're a little bit kind of off kilter in terms of our normal offerings, but everything, he'll be back in the fall. Everything will be back to normal then. But for this spring, the courses I'll be teaching one of the things he normally teaches, which is American Politics 1. That's, of course, we usually recommend students take as they're beginning the political science major. And I'll also be teaching American Political Thought, which is an upper division course, a theory course. Either of those would be good to take. Otherwise, I'd recommend taking courses that are supporting to the political science major. So for example, we require 6 hours in economics. So spring would be a good time to take principles of economics, or a geography course, or if you're interested maybe in criminal justice, if you're interested in law, you could take like Intro to Criminal Justice. Okay, anything else?
Like, you mentioned something about business management majors. With that, something about how political science majors, they go into finding a career in like business management, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Right. A lot of our students have gone into careers that are not directly related to politics, but they've gone into business. And some of them have been picked up by executive training programs and ended up becoming managers for major retail chains, restaurants, entertainment industry. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Sure. All right, well, if there's nothing else, I wish you good luck on your assignment here. And if you ever have any questions about political science, just let me know. Okay, nice meeting you.